I haven't had sex in 6 months. The giant Apache sister said to the virgin cowboy. The twin suns were sinking behind the red cliffs when the young cowboy rode into Red Canyon Colony. Dust followed him like a shadow, rising from the cracked earth beneath his horse's metal-plated hooves. The colony looked small compared to the endless desert around it. Solar towers stretched into the sky like silent guardians, glowing faintly with stored energy. He had traveled for weeks. No one greeted him. People watched instead. In frontier colonies, strangers were measured carefully. Some settlers leaned against fences while scanning him with small wrist devices. Others simply stared, judging him by the way he sat in the saddle, straight-backed but uncertain. He looked young. Too young, many thought, to survive here. The cowboy adjusted his hat and guided the horse toward the main square. A holographic sign flickered above a metal building, showing job listings. Most were already marked filled. He sighed quietly. Work was the only reason he had come. He had left behind a crowded world where he felt invisible. Out here, he hoped to start again. But Red Canyon Colony was not welcoming. A group of ranch hands stood near a water tank, whispering loudly enough for him to hear. "Another drifter," one said. "Won't last a week," another replied. The cowboy ignored them. He tied his horse and walked toward the supply store, hoping for information. Inside, the air felt cooler, filled with the smell of metal and dried herbs. An older woman behind the counter looked at him carefully. "You looking for supplies or trouble?" she asked. "Work," he said simply. She studied him for a long moment. "Talk to the patrol leader," she said finally. "If she likes you, you might survive here." "Where do I find her?" The woman nodded toward the canyon ridge visible through the window. "She's out there." He thanked her and stepped back into the heat. The desert wind moved slowly, carrying strange whispers across the land. He mounted his horse again and rode toward the ridge. As he climbed higher, the colony grew smaller behind him, replaced by endless waves of red sand. At the top, he saw her. She stood beside a tall rock formation, watching the horizon. She was taller than anyone he had ever seen, strong, broad-shouldered, and steady like the canyon itself. Her dark hair moved gently in the wind, and traditional patterns were woven into her long coat, mixed with advanced armor pieces. The settlers had called her the giant Apache sister. He stopped several meters away, unsure how to approach. She did not turn immediately. "You rode a long way," she said calmly, as if she already knew he was there. Her voice carried strength without anger. "Yes," he answered. "What do you want?" "Work." She turned then, studying him with sharp eyes that seemed to see more than appearances. "You don't look like a fighter." "I'm not looking for trouble," he admitted. "That is not the same as avoiding it." He hesitated, unsure how to respond. She walked closer, her steps quiet despite her size. Up close, he noticed scars along her gloves and the calm focus in her expression. "You're new," she said. "Why come here?" He thought carefully before answering. "I needed somewhere different," he said finally. She nodded once, as if she understood more than he had said aloud. For a moment, silence stretched between them. Then she surprised him. "You're nervous," she said. He blinked. "I may be." She smiled slightly, not mocking, just observant. "Nervous men either run away or become brave," she said. "I want to know which you are." Before he could reply, a loud hum echoed across the canyon. A distant drone flew overhead, scanning the land with blue light. She watched it carefully. "More of them," she murmured. "Who?" he asked. "People who think this land belongs to them." The drone disappeared behind a ridge. She turned back to him. "You still want work?" "Yes." "Then ride with me." He hesitated only a second before nodding. They moved together along the ridge, overlooking the colony and the endless desert beyond. She asked few questions, but each one felt important. "Can you shoot?" "Yes." "Fix machines?" "A little." "Can you listen?" He looked confused. "I think so." "That one matters most," she said. As the sky darkened, they reached an old patrol post, a small structure built from metal and stone. Inside were maps and scanning equipment showing strange energy signals beneath the sand. "What is that?" he asked. "Something waking," she replied quietly. Her expression grew serious. "For months the ground has been changing, animals disappear, sensors fail, the land is restless. Dangerous? Everything here is dangerous," she said simply. They stepped outside again. Night fell quickly, revealing stars brighter than he had ever seen. A cold wind moved across the canyon. He felt small under the vast sky. She noticed. "Fear is normal," she said. "Only fools pretend they feel nothing." He appreciated her honesty. "Why are you helping me?" he asked suddenly. She considered the question carefully. "Because I see potential," she said, "and because the land told me to watch for someone new." He wasn't sure what she meant, but her words stayed with him. A sudden tremor shook the ground. Both of them froze. The sand below shifted slightly, as if something deep beneath the surface had moved. She narrowed her eyes. "It's getting stronger." He felt unease rising inside him. "What is it?" "I don't know yet." She looked toward the colony lights glowing in the distance. "That's why I need help." She turned back to him. "If you stay, you follow my rules, no ego, no lies, and when I say run, you run." He nodded quickly. "Good," she said. For the first time, he felt like he belonged somewhere. They began riding back toward the colony together. As they moved through the dark desert, he noticed how carefully she watched everything, the sky, the ground, even the wind. She was not just strong, she was a guardian. And somehow she had chosen him to stand beside her. Behind them, far beneath the sand, something ancient shifted again. The story of Red Canyon Colony had just begun, and neither of them yet understood how deeply their fates were already connected. Morning came slowly over Red Canyon Colony. The first light touched the red cliffs like fire spreading across stone. The young cowboy woke before sunrise, still adjusting to the strange silence of the frontier. Unlike busy cities, this place felt alive in a different way, quiet but watching. Outside, the giant Apache sister was already awake. She stood near the horses, checking equipment and adjusting a long rifle that looked both ancient and advanced. When she noticed him, she gave a small nod. "You sleep well?" she asked. "Better than expected," he said. "That means the land accepted you for one night," she replied calmly. He wasn't sure if she was joking. They ate a simple breakfast, dried meat, hot tea, and bread warmed over a small portable heater. She spoke little while eating, but her eyes remained alert, always scanning the horizon. "Today we ride south," she said finally. "The signals are stronger there." He followed without question. As they rode away from the colony, the desert changed. The sand became darker, and strange crystal formations rose from the ground like frozen lightning. Small drones hovered in the distance, belonging to the mining group that had recently arrived. "They are digging too deep," she said quietly. "Why is that bad?" he asked. She slowed her horse. "This land remembers," she said. "Some things are meant to stay buried." He felt a chill despite the heat. They reached an abandoned mining station by midday. Rust covered most of the metal walls, but fresh tracks surrounded it, showing recent activity. A low humming sound came from beneath the ground. She raised a hand, signaling him to stop. "Stay close," she said. Inside, broken screens flickered with data. He noticed strange symbols on the walls, carved shapes that didn't match any human language. "Did the miners do this?" he asked. "No," she said. "These are older." She touched one symbol gently. "They belong to those who came before us." Before he could ask more, the floor trembled slightly. Dust fell from the ceiling. Both of them reached for their weapons instinctively. The humming grew louder. "What is that?" he whispered. She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she closed her eyes briefly, as if listening with more than her ears. "Something is awake," she said at last. Suddenly, a loud noise echoed outside, engines approaching. They stepped out to see 3 armored vehicles arriving. The mercenaries had returned. Their leader stepped forward, smiling in a way that felt cold. "We told the colony this area is under our control now," he said. The Apache sister remained calm. "You don't control the desert," she replied. He laughed. "We control what's under it." The cowboy felt tension rising but stayed quiet, watching her. The mercenary leader glanced at him. "And who's the new kid?" "Not your concern," she said sharply. The man shrugged. "We're starting a deep drill tonight," he said. "You might want to stay away." Her eyes hardened. "That is a mistake." "Maybe," he said with a grin, "but it's a profitable one." The vehicles drove away, leaving dust swirling behind them. The cowboy looked at her. "They won't listen, will they?" "No," she said. "Some people only understand consequences." They moved deeper into the desert, following energy readings from her scanner. As the day passed, she began teaching him more: how to read tracks, how to sense wind changes, and how to stay calm even when danger felt close. "You think too much," she told him at one point. "I do." "Yes, fear lives in thoughts. Courage lives in action." He tried to remember that. By evening, they reached a deep canyon filled with glowing plants. Strange lights moved beneath the sand like slow waves. He stared in awe. "This place feels alive." "It is," she said. They climbed down carefully. At the canyon floor, he suddenly felt dizzy. The air vibrated faintly, and the strange symbols from the mining station appeared again on nearby rocks. He reached out without thinking. When his fingers touched the stone, a pulse of light spread outward. Both of them stepped back. She looked at him with surprise. "The land reacts to you," she said. "I didn't do anything." "You did something," she replied softly. "You listened." Before he could respond, the ground shook violently. A deep rumbling echoed through the canyon, stronger than before. Sand collapsed in several places, revealing dark openings below. Something massive moved beneath them. They hurried back toward higher ground. As they reached the ridge, the desert exploded with light far away. The mining drill had started. The Apache sister watched silently. "They woke it," she said. A powerful wave of energy spread across the land, knocking both of them off balance. The sky flickered as if reality itself had glitched for a moment. He struggled to stand. "What happens now?" She looked toward the horizon where dust storms began forming unnaturally fast. "Now the land tests us." They rode back toward the colony quickly, racing against the rising storm. Along the way, he felt something changing inside him, not fear but determination. He wanted to help. He wanted to protect this place. As the colony lights appeared ahead, alarms started sounding. People ran through the streets, pointing toward the desert where enormous shapes moved beneath the sand like shadows of giants. The cowboy swallowed hard. "This is bigger than us." "Yes," she said calmly. Then she looked at him with unexpected trust. "But you are part of it now." He felt both terrified and honored. Somewhere beneath the desert, the ancient guardian was rising, and their journey together had only just begun. The storm arrived before midnight. Dark clouds rolled across the sky like waves of black smoke, covering the twin moons one by one. The wind howled through Red Canyon Colony, shaking metal walls and sending dust spinning through the streets. People gathered near the central tower, fear clear on their faces. The young cowboy stood beside the giant Apache sister, watching the horizon. Lightning flashed, but it was not normal lightning. The sky seemed to bend with strange energy, glowing in soft blue lines that moved like living veins. "It's reacting to the drill," she said quietly. "What happens if it reaches the colony?" he asked. "We survive," she replied calmly, "or we learn why we cannot." Despite the seriousness of her words, her voice remained steady. That steadiness helped him stay calm too. Alarms sounded again. A scout ran toward them. The mercenaries lost control of the drill. "Something destroyed half their equipment?" The Apache sister nodded slowly as if she had expected it. "The Guardian is warning them," she said. "Guardian?" The scout asked nervously. She didn't answer. Instead, she turned to the cowboy. "You ride with me." He didn't hesitate. They mounted their horses and rode into the storm. The desert felt alive beneath them. Sand rose in waves, and strange shadows moved under the surface, shifting like enormous creatures swimming through an invisible ocean. He gripped the reins tighter. Fear tried to take control of him, but he remembered her words. Courage lives in action. They reached the mining site after a long ride. The scene looked like chaos. Broken machines lay scattered across the ground. Sparks flickered from damaged equipment. Several mercenaries stood arguing loudly. Their leader stepped forward when he saw them. "You," he shouted at the Apache sister, "your cursed land just destroyed millions of credits worth of machinery." "You were warned," she said calmly. "This is not over," he snapped. "We're restarting the drill." The cowboy felt anger rise. "Can't you see what's happening?" he said, surprising even himself. The mercenary leader stared at him. "And who are you?" "No one important," the cowboy admitted. "But even I can see this place is trying to protect itself." The man laughed harshly. "Kid, there's no spirit in the ground, just resources." Before anyone could respond, the earth shook violently. A deep roar echoed beneath the sand, not loud like an animal, but powerful like thunder trapped underground. The ground cracked open nearby, revealing glowing lines spreading outward like roots of light. Everyone stepped back. The Apache sister moved closer to the cowboy. "It's calling," she said quietly. "Calling who?" "You." His heart raced. "Why me?" "I don't know," she admitted, "but the land reacts when you touch it. You must listen." He swallowed hard. Another wave of energy spread through the area. Machines shut down instantly. Lights flickered and died. Silence followed. Then a low humming filled the air, vibrating through his bones. Without fully understanding why, he stepped forward toward the glowing crack in the ground. "Wait!" one mercenary shouted. But the Apache sister raised her hand, stopping them. "Let him go." He reached the edge and knelt slowly. Warm light reflected in his eyes. Images flashed in his mind, deserts before colonization, ancient beings moving beneath the surface, balance between life and land. He gasped softly. "It's not angry," he whispered. "What is it then?" she asked gently. "Afraid." The ground trembled again. Behind them, one of the mercenaries secretly activated a portable drill trying to continue the operation. The machine roared to life. Immediately, the glowing lines turned red. The hum became a deep, threatening vibration. The Apache sister reacted instantly, knocking the machine aside with surprising strength. "Enough!" she shouted. The mercenary leader aimed his weapon, anger replacing fear. "You don't give orders here." Before he could act, the sand rose suddenly, forming a massive shape not fully visible but huge enough to block the storm's wind. Everyone froze. The cowboy felt the presence watching him, not hostile, just waiting. He stepped forward slowly. "We hear you," he said softly, unsure why he chose those words. The storm weakened slightly. The glowing lines returned to blue. The mercenary leader lowered his weapon slowly, fear finally breaking through his arrogance. "What is that?" he whispered. The Apache sister looked at the cowboy. "It listens to him," she said. The moment felt unreal. The cowboy realized something important. Strength was not always loud. Sometimes it was quiet understanding. He turned to the mercenaries. "If you keep drilling, it will defend itself," he said calmly, "and we won't survive that." For the first time, the mercenary leader hesitated. The storm began to calm, though distant thunder still rolled across the sky. Slowly, the glowing shape sank back into the sand. Silence returned. The cowboy felt exhausted but strangely connected to the land. The Apache sister placed a hand on his shoulder. "You did well," she said. "I was terrified," he admitted. "That is how bravery begins." They rode back toward the colony together. Along the way, she spoke more openly than before. "My people believe the land speaks through those who listen," she said. "Maybe that is why you came here." He looked at her, surprised by the warmth in her voice. "I thought I came to find work," he said. She smiled slightly. "Sometimes we come for one reason and stay for another." As the colony lights appeared again, he realized he no longer felt like an outsider. The bond between them had grown stronger, built on trust formed in danger. But deep inside the desert, the ancient guardian was still watching, and the true test had not yet begun. The desert felt different after the storm. Morning light spread across Red Canyon Colony, but the air carried a quiet tension. People moved slowly, whispering to each other, watching the horizon as if expecting something to appear at any moment. The young cowboy stood near the edge of the ridge beside the giant Apache sister. Below them, settlers repaired damaged equipment while scouts prepared for another patrol. The land looked calm, but calm did not always mean safe. "They will try again," she said quietly. He knew she meant the mercenaries. "They seemed scared last night," he replied. "Fear does not always stop greed," she said. He nodded. Since the encounter with the Guardian, something inside him had changed. He felt more connected to the desert, as if he could sense small shifts in the wind or the ground. It was not a clear voice, more like a feeling guiding him. She noticed his silence. "What do you feel?" she asked. He thought carefully. "Like the land is waiting," he said. She smiled slightly. "That means you are learning." A scout approached quickly. "They're back," he said. "The mercenaries brought more machines," the Apache sister sighed. "They did not learn," she said. Within minutes, they were riding toward the mining zone again. The colony council wanted peace, but everyone understood that this might become a final confrontation. As they reached the edge of the desert valley, they saw new drilling towers already being assembled. Armored guards surrounded the area. The mercenary leader stepped forward when he saw them. "I was hoping you'd come," he said. "You should leave," the Apache sister replied calmly. "Not without what's beneath this sand." The cowboy stepped forward. "You saw what happened," he said. "The Guardian won't allow this." The leader's smile returned, colder than before. "That's why we came prepared." He pressed a device on his wrist. A massive machine powered on behind him, larger than any drill they had seen before. Blue energy shields surrounded it. The ground vibrated immediately. The cowboy felt it like a heartbeat beneath his feet. "They're forcing it awake," he whispered. The Apache sister's expression hardened. "Then we stopped them." They moved closer carefully, trying to avoid violence. She raised her voice so everyone could hear. "This land is alive," she said. "You cannot conquer it." Some mercenaries hesitated, but their leader shook his head. "Start the drill." The machine roared. Energy waves spread outward, making the air shimmer. The sand began to rise, forming swirling patterns around the drill. The cowboy felt pain in his chest, not physical, but emotional, like hearing someone cry without sound. "It's hurting," he said. She looked at him. "Then help it." He stepped forward despite the danger. Guards raised weapons, but the mercenary leader held up a hand, curious. "Let's see what the kid does," he said. The cowboy reached the glowing sand. He closed his eyes and focused, remembering the visions from before: balance, patience, respect. "I hear you," he whispered. The ground trembled. Blue light spread beneath his feet, moving toward the drill like flowing water. The Apache sister watched carefully, ready to protect him if needed. Suddenly, the sand rose high into the air, forming a massive shape again, larger than before, glowing with ancient energy. Gasps echoed from everyone watching. The guardian had fully awakened. Wind roared around them, but instead of attacking, the glowing shape paused near the cowboy. He felt warmth instead of fear. "It doesn't want war," he said softly. The Apache sister stepped beside him. "Then show them." He turned to the mercenary leader. "You can still leave," he said calmly. "Take your people and go." The leader hesitated, clearly shaken by the sight of the guardian, but pride held him back. "We came too far," he said. He signaled his team to increase the drill's power. The guardian reacted instantly. Energy waves knocked machines aside without harming people. The drill began to crack under pressure. The cowboy realized something important. Force alone would not end this. He looked at the Apache sister. "What if we show them what happens if balance breaks completely?" She understood immediately. They stepped closer together. She raised her hands, speaking in her ancestral language, a calm, rhythmic chant that echoed across the valley. The guardian responded, projecting visions into the air. Everyone saw deserts turn to dust, colonies destroyed by storms, endless emptiness where life once existed. The mercenaries watched in silence. "This is the future if you keep taking without respect," the cowboy said. The leader's confidence finally broke. He lowered his weapon slowly. "We didn't know," he said quietly. "Now you do," she replied. One by one, the machines powered down. The drill shut off completely. The storm clouds faded and sunlight returned to the valley. The guardian's massive form softened, sinking slowly back into the sand. The ground became still again, peaceful. Relief spread through the crowd. The mercenaries began packing their equipment without argument. Their leader approached the cowboy and the Apache sister. "You saved us from something bigger than profit," he admitted. "We will leave." She nodded once. "Remember what you learned." He gave a respectful bow before walking away. As the vehicles disappeared into the distance, the colony settlers cheered quietly, proud but humbled. The cowboy stood in silence, watching the desert. "You changed," she said beside him. "I learned," he replied. She smiled warmly. "And now you belong here." They returned to Red Canyon Ridge at sunset. The sky turned orange and gold, reflecting off the cliffs. For the first time since arriving, he felt completely at peace. He was no longer just a shy outsider. He was a guardian of the frontier. Standing beside the giant Apache sister, he understood that their journey had only begun, not as strangers, but as partners protecting a living world where old traditions and future technology walked side by side. And far beneath the sand, the ancient guardian rested, watching over them, waiting for the next story to unfold.